Hello everyone, this is Rohan and today I'll be talking about the most asked question: which lens is the best lens for wedding photography? Before we deep dive into this topic, first of all, you should ask a question to yourself. Where do you want to place yourself in the story? When I talk about where you should be placing yourself in the story, I mean if you're going with a wide angle lens, you might be placing yourself really close. And if you're going probably 70 mm or plus or on the telephoto end, you might have to place yourself far back. Now, it again depends where do you want to place yourself, and based upon that, you need to select those focal lengths and accordingly you have to choose the lens. The other thing which you have to think about is the working distance. Now when we say working distance, it is the actual working distance allowed in a ceremony happening. Say in a typical scenario of a Hindu ceremony where most of the family members might be surrounding the couple during the key ceremonies like Mangal Sutra exchange. In such scenarios, we might not be having that much space to use a telephoto lens or anything above 70 mm. In that case, we have to go ahead with something wide, probably a 16 to 35 or a 14 to 24 mm wide angle lens. A 24-70 mm lens is also a good lens where you can actually go close at 70 mm in certain scenarios, and 24 mm is somewhat wide to capture the ambience and the ceremony as a whole. Now on the contrary, in a Christian ceremony, we might not be having the leverage to basically go really close to the couple. Most of the people, including the priest, would not appreciate that, and in such scenarios a telephoto lens works well. So yes, the focal length depends on what exactly you are shooting, and based upon that you have to select the lens. Okay, when we talk about lenses, to me, lenses are just a tool. My philosophy is that when we see a shot, when we envision a shot, we need certain tools to achieve it. Now, to achieve these kind of shots, you might need a lighting tool, a camera and a lens. These are all different tools which you will be needing to achieve that result. So lenses are also, in my opinion, a tool which you have to use to achieve the final image. The other thing which I wanted to talk about is the effect of focal length and how you can use it to your advantage. Say for example, if we are using an ultra wide angle lens and we are covering a ceremony, the whole ambience can be covered at a wide focal length. At the same time, you can use the lens distortion to exaggerate the effect, and this really works in wedding ceremonies or haldi ceremonies where you want that action to be there, and you want to capture the ambience as well as you want to exaggerate the whole scene on the edges. The other part which I want to discuss is the lens compression. Now, lens compression is another property or effect, I would say, when you're using longer focal length, somewhere between 100 to 200 mm or longer. What it does is it basically brings the background very close to the subject. Now, this property can be used creatively when you're doing couple shoots or shoots where you want to bring the background close to the subject. Apart from these lenses, there are certain specialized lenses like macro lens which you have to use when you want the detailed shots. A tilt shift lens where you want to change the focal plane and you want to get a different effect altogether. So these are specialized lenses which you should invest when you have, I think, most of your kit ready, because these will be used in rare scenarios and it will not be a lens which you will be using frequently. Finally, if you ask me what is my favorite lens. I can tell you that I use every lens for the intended purpose. But yes, if you ask me my most used lens, I can say yes, it is a 24-70. It gives me the ability to go wide as well as go on the telephoto end of 70 mm with the same lens. So it's a very versatile lens. It can be used for multiple purposes, including wedding ceremonies, getting ready, couple shots and whatnot. This is the best focal length in my opinion to cover a wedding. But yes, like I told you, every focal length has its own advantages, and you need to work on your style and see which focal length works for you. Okay guys, so my recent favorite is the 24-70 f4 S-line lens for the Z mount. And if you see, this lens is very small. If I compare it with the F mount version, now this is a 2.8 lens, and for that reason it's pretty big. But if you see this lens 24-70 f4, it's very light. The mirrorless system works really well for me. I can keep shooting throughout the day without hurting my back, and I have actually started loving these lenses. Now even an f4 is a great aperture for me, because nowadays the ISO performance of these cameras are really good, and even if I'm losing a stop of light with this lens, it is still more flexible than the 2.8 brother of this lens. I would really recommend, if you are moving to a Nikon Z mirrorless system, this is a must-have kit lens. So my advice would be to test out these lenses, rent them, go and use them in your live weddings where you are shooting, and see which lens works for you. Based upon that, you go ahead with the purchase. I hope this video was useful for you to identify what lens is the best lens for wedding photography for your style, and feel free to drop in your questions, comments. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks for watching guys. See you in our next video. Take care. Bye.